Hello, everyone. Ted Clayton here. I Hate Big and Tall Men, the series. Now, do we actually feel this way? No. However, this title is clickbait. One is, yeah, to get some attention, but it's never at the expense of anyone. Of course, we can never adopt an absolute position with things like this, but sometimes you need to get some attention to encourage a dialogue or to at least put the word out there on something. Just bring awareness to something. Okay, now what just happened? I just went out to lunch not too long ago, just maybe about half an hour ago. I stepped downstairs. Now, right now, I'm in Times Square. So I just stepped downstairs, just went about a block or two to, I just went to a Dwayne to get something. Okay, so here's what happened. And the whole issue is really this sort of this sentiment where there really respect doesn't really need to be given to someone that may be deemed inferior. Okay, all right. I'm coming out of the building again on my way to get some lunch. Walk down the street, then I had to make a corner to get on Broadway. And again, like I said, I'm in Times Square, so it's pretty busy here. And especially right now, it's 3 o'clock. At that time, it was about 1:30 or so. Okay. So when I turn around, when I make the corner, I turn the corner, I'm navigating through traffic. I mean, I'm taking my time, but I'm navigating through pedestrian traffic. But then there's sort of this happens. You know how when you're in a busy street where there's a lot of pedestrians, a lot of pedestrian traffic, and then every once in a while there may just be this gap where there's not a lot of people there. So it was one of those kind of situations. And once that opening happens, coming towards me was a tall couple, very tall couple. They were, I want to say they were Eastern European. I want to say that, or European just in general. I want to say that. I didn't get a very good look at them, but I want to say that. Okay. All right. Now, I have the right of way. I'm in America. The right of way here in pedestrian traffic is to be on the right. So no matter what, it just as I was saying, when navigating pedestrian traffic, I try to make my way to the right as much as possible. If I have to stay to the left, I'll stay to the left. If it's just there, if that's what makes sense. But more likely than not, I always try to stick to the right. Okay, so I finally find a lane. I stick to it, and then I see this couple coming towards me. Now, these people were very, very tall. I want to say the gentleman may have been somewhere around maybe 6'6", and then his girlfriend or wife partner, she had to be 6 feet. They were both tall. So the way this happens, I'm walking straight, but then the couple, the way they're walking, they're now coming towards me. It looked like they were walking diagonally, but either way, I don't remember that clearly. But either way, they're walking towards me. Now I'm already, I'm sensing this because I don't want a collision, and I have the right of way, so I'm sticking to it. But then I decide, okay, and of course, as people who've been following me, who've been watching some of my videos, where I'm definitely hyper vigilant or really I'm very aware, sensitive to these things. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to be out of character or lose self-control, but I am sensitive to these things. And just in general, you're about to have a collision. What I decide to do, because I like to be dramatic, I will say that admittedly, what I would like to do is, and if anyone's seeing my hands, please forgive me. I ran out of lotion right now, and also I love to take hot showers. So that in the wintertime is a bad combination. Very hot showers. And has anyone seen that meme with that girl? It's a cartoon with that girl. She's taking a shower in fire. Like, that's totally me. Okay. So these people are walking. This couple is walking towards me. Now, remember, there's this gap in pedestrian traffic. So there's a lot of space for them to have seen me. I seen them, I would say 5 yards, maybe something like that, even more than that. But there was enough time and space for them to see me. So they're walking towards me, keep walking towards me. I stay in my lane. But then again, because I like to be dramatic, and especially with things like this where there is a narrative, I like to be dramatic within reason. So what I did was, as I'm walking, I just stopped. Now, when I make an abrupt stop in pedestrian traffic, I like to take a few steps to slow down. I mean, if there's something crazy, I'll just stop right then and there. But I'll just take a few steps to if there's someone behind me, I like to take a few steps to signal to the person behind me that I'm going to stop, or that there's just going to be some disruption. And then once I stopped, I look behind me, I look in front of me, and to the sides, just to be respectful if I need to apologize to anyone. Now, where I'm at, I'm in front of this. If anyone's looking at a Google map, I'm on 41st. I was on 41st and Broadway. And again, this is the what corner is this? This is the southeast corner. Okay, so there's a restaurant right there. I don't know the name of it. It's I don't even know the name of it. I've never shopped there before, so I don't really know it. I know it has this blue sign to it, but I don't know it. So if you look at it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, right there was this big window, and there was a gentleman that was watching the whole thing. So I'm going to get back to that. I abruptly stopped, and in my head, what I'm thinking is, you know what? No, these people are not going to, run over me. I'm going to stop right here. So whatever they want to do, I stopped, and they can make a decision. But here's what was most important to me, and this is where I say that this now comes off as being treated inferiorly, right? And again, we're looking at this from a pedestrian but traffic point of view, right? It's just traffic, and whatever sort of traffic, right? Just things moving, just coming and going, right? Now, people in general, strangers, don't like to make eye contact. I don't really have a big issue with that. I don't want to get into that right now, but especially here in New York, big cities, no one likes to make eye contact. However, I think when there's a collision, or if things are when someone needs to be a little more alert, I think people do need to kind of, make some eye contact to just kind of, make a connection and kind of sort things out, at least on a subliminal level, right? Just making eye contact and then kind of surveying things after that. Okay. I stopped and I started looking at these people. I started looking at the couple. So basically, again, remember, I'm looking at this in the sense of being in traffic, looking at them. I have the right of way, looking at them to see what they want to do. And they don't make eye contact. And matter of fact, when I looked at them, but specifically the gentleman, because, in situations like this, I just look at the man. That's the person who I should be concerned with. So let's just leave it at that. I look at the gentleman, and they're not looking at me, but they know. They knew. It was a collision, a head-on collision. And when I see the face of this gentleman, but also his girlfriend, but really it's both of them, but the gentleman, they were not paying attention to me. They were not. It was a head-on collision. It was pretty obvious. But they're not looking at me. And the look they had on their face was, him and his girlfriend, it looked like, I'm not even going to try to guess, but it looked like they were just having an afternoon stroll. So the look that they had in their face it's sort of like they were in a movie. Like they were kind of checked out. I think you guys may know what I'm talking about. So you're looking at this person waiting to get some eye contact to, kind of brace for impact, I guess, or to avoid it. But then the person's approaching you, and they're in essentially La La Land. And you see them, they're walking straight, and you can kind of feel, I could be wrong about that, but you can feel that they know that they're coming towards you. And again, for anybody who asks questions, and please ask questions, but there was enough space. You can say, oh, well, these people are tall, as you said, so they just didn't see you. I beg to differ because there was plenty of space, right? And they're just like in this movie. So I stopped, and once I stopped, then, and they still walk towards me, but then they start to kind of maneuver around me. Then they start to, kind of collapse to then get around me. But they weren't, upon impact, you don't see them collapse or, break apart, whatever, shift to avoid that collision. You don't see that happen. They're just going straight through. And, the whole thing with this is, when there's a group, when there's a group that's unfavorable, to me that seems like antagonizing. To me it seems like provoking. But we're gonna leave that at that. So that happens, and again, I would have to say, man, it was a good, from when I saw them to when they passed me. I would have to say, man, that had to be a good 10 seconds. It was a long time, right? So you do that. And I stopped because I wanted to see if anybody else saw it. I turned, I looked to my side, and in that restaurant, I saw this Hispanic gentleman. They weren't making eye contact, of course, we're in the city, but again, I can tell by their face, I can tell by their face that they saw what had happened, and then they motioned, rose their hand to their cap, and just went like this, just like that. So I think they saw what had happened, that they just basically ignored me. And then I turned to my right. There was some other young guys there. And they saw it. They just they had this shocked look on their face, but again, no eye contact. So, what's going on here? I get how you feel, but when there's a narrative out there, it's one of those things where you kind of have to be dramatic to then get people's attention. You have to do something dramatic like that to be, in that sense, be still, to allow things to happen around you, to then see how everyone else perceives that. And I could simply write it off as, oh, I lost my sense of direction, or, I thought I was supposed to walk this way, I walked that way. But, and again, to show etiquette, I like to slow down just a few steps. But, I mean, yeah, it just happens, pedestrian traffic. But it's just interesting. It almost seems like they want to reinforce this perspective. It's to provoke, to that way then do you see what I said? You see what we're talking about? But when you actually are seeing it from the outside looking in, you start to see, no, that guy just stood there, and not only was he had the right of way, but he was just standing there, and you guys had a long way to make a decision. So, that's that. I have another video that I just made that I want to share. Like, basically, I just ask tall men, hey, let me know what you've gone through. But, this whole thing of acting like you can't be bothered. You can't be bothered with such an inferior being. It's like, hey, man, you want to have a beer, man? Like, I don't, you don't know me, I don't know you, so we can start with that, right? But that narrative is not going to fly with me. That's not going to happen. I'm going to put you on the spot. Respectfully, I'm going to put you on the spot. So yeah, that's that. And a lot of times I've seen that when there's an issue when I do have an issue, especially nowadays when things are polarized, and when I have an issue with a misunderstanding with taller men, I will confront them. Now, that doesn't mean confrontation doesn't necessarily have to be polarizing. It doesn't have to be good or bad, but I confront them. I will address it right there on the spot. And I've seen that it's sort of like they snap out of it, like they snap out the spell, So that's that. But again, just wanted to share that. Again, just what it is. But the main thing that I really want to emphasize is with things like this, we already now are hearing how women potentially perceive short men. We don't want to get into that. Again, it's one's inclinations. That's always respected, but it's always what we're questioning is the behavior. But then what I'm trying to get across is, and I think slowly people are starting to see what's going on with short men. And this is a thing where it speaks to society. It's like a sample, but it's a bigger thing because, we're all in this together, right? So, but this all has to do with how we treat each other. When you have men and then women against you, there's no way out. There's no way out. And then you could just use your imagination from there. What if I have, what if I'm trying to start my own business? What if I'm having an issue, I don't know, in a store, but then a commotion breaks out. Maybe the police get called, or maybe I just can't get serviced, something like that. Or what if I'm looking for, I don't know, employment, or something happens to me while I'm employed? Who's going to back me up? Who's going to support me if these perceptions are out there? Now, of course, we have filters, but we, over time, if we allow ourselves to treat everyone as individuals, those filters at the very least get loosened a little bit. Anyhow, just wanted to leave it at that. Yeah, I think that's it. Again, just treat it like I'm invisible. That's it. And it's something where it was clearly avoidable and there was a witness. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.